What's up, guys? This is a crippler, Chris Lieben, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
So, this was a rough week for Texans, Will. So, it seems like it's been longer than a week since we've recorded. A little rough. Some tough weather over here.
Some tough weather.
Yeah, so the last time we recorded, I recorded in the bedroom just because it was freezing, right? And it didn't get better. It got worse. So, it got worse. But we're good now, man. I'm sitting over here. It's 60-degree weather. So can't beat that. Not bad at all. Before we get going, though, I did want to mention we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and YouTube, of course. Did I miss anything?
Of course.
No, I think we're good. Richard Casual?
All systems go.
All right, awesome. So if anybody likes the content we're putting out, if you don't mind, just subscribe, comment, goes a long way, and then also have just a little community where we can chat back and forth on Facebook through MMA Talk Community by Story of the Fight podcast. And if you were on that community yesterday, you would have been chatting it up with me in regards to some of the finishes on last night's card. There was a lot of finishes.
Almost all finishes.
It was a fun card.
There was only a couple decisions.
Yeah, it was a fun card, though. Very fun card.
Yeah, super fun card.
The producers were like, hey, let's give us some content, guys. There's only so much we could fill with. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
all these fights were over pretty quickly.
They're all, super quick. It seemed like this card was cursed, from the day before. It's we got a moment of silence. Mike Trezano versus Rafael Alves. Trezano had an ankle injury, and then they fill in with Pat Sabatini, and then Alves misses weight by a UFC record 11.5 pounds, which is pretty
He's in the
crazy.
record books.
He's in the record books. He'll go down in history.
Yeah, probably not the type of record you want.
Yeah, next closest is Rumble Johnson at welterweight when he missed by 11 pounds.
Wow.
But also...
welterweight. Just think about the fact that Anthony Rumble Johnson, God, that's crazy.
Well, dude, how about this? This was a featherweight fight, and Alves, I think the day before weigh-in, was talking about how he'll probably end up fighting at lightweight, and that he trains with Colby Covington, and Colby's always telling him he needs to fight at lightweight, and he's cutting too much and all this stuff, and he's like, but I can make it. It's all good. And then he misses it by 11.5 pounds.
Dang.
So yeah, they scrapped that. That fight gets canceled. So it's that's the start of the cursed card, because that's Friday morning. I think we had a total of 3 fighters miss weight. Events about to start, and then Violent Bob Ross, Luis Pena, he tweets, "I hate this man, but it's with a heavy heart that I must inform you guys that the fight has been called off. One of Drakar's corner tested positive for COVID, and out of the health and safety protocols, blah, 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 they had to pull the fight." So Violent Bob Ross versus Drakar close would have been a fun fight, like both those guys. That gets canceled right before the event starts, and then later, during the card, Chaz Skelly walks out. He gets in the cage. He's getting ready and stuff. He's doing his thing. Whereas Jamal Emmers, no walkout. Dude starts having back spasms in the back, while Chaz Skelly is already in the octagon waiting for the fight.
When's the last time that happened?
The closest thing has to be the Kevin Holland versus Trevin Giles, but I don't think Holland didn't walk out, at least.
No.
But yeah, man. So that was, moment of silence. Those are fights that we didn't get to see, but just it seemed like what the fuck's gonna happen with this card?
Yeah,
things are going wrong, but ended up being a really good card.
It did, and I guess we get get started with Zahabi versus Rodriguez. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this is Rodriguez's debut, UFC debut.
UFC debut. A good debut too, because Zahabi has had his struggles and stuff. I don't think he's fought in like 2 years. Has the potential, obviously. You can see that it's there. He just hasn't quite put it together. And he's had some fights where he's winning until he loses, you know?
Yep.
But this was a good fight, you know?
I think Rodriguez is one of the ones that missed weight, right?
Did he miss weight? I don't remember.
Pretty sure Rodriguez missed weight by, I think it was 4 pounds.
A couple pounds?
5 pounds.
Few
Yeah.
pounds.
But man, Zahabi, because I hadn't seen him. When's the last time he fought?
I think it's been 2 years ago.
Yeah. But man, he displayed a lot of patience in this fight.
Ton of patience.
A lot of movement, and even Mike Bisping's like, hey, movement's really good, but at some point you have to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And Zahabi's like, no, I don't. And
Yeah.
I mean, he caught him with the perfect 1-2 to put him out, man. That was a clean knockout too.
Yeah, really clean knockout. That's got to be huge for him, 2 losses in his last 2 fights. Takes some time off. Comes in, gets a knockout. That's in the first round too. Got to feel good.
He's like, UFC wins feel good. You know what feels better than UFC win? UFC win after coming off 2 losses feels even better. And I was like, damn, man, I can only imagine the stress, dude. But
plus, he gets an extra $50,000. Got a bonus for that.
Got a bonus for that. Yeah, he asked for it. He got it. But I was thinking too, like, imagine the pressure you must feel being Firas Zahabi's brother.
Yeah.
Like the expectation that comes with that. Firas Zahabi, one of the best trainers in the world.
Dude, have you noticed lately the narrative around Zahabi, Firas at least?
No.
Dude, a lot of people are basically saying that he's an overrated coach and that he basically just got lucky that GSP trained there and that GSP would have been great anywhere and that his only 2 good fighters of note are GSP and Rory McDonald. And it's like, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe, but that doesn't discredit his game planning and his understanding of the fight. Like, just because he doesn't have a long list of champions under his name doesn't mean that he's an overrated and, like, not a good coach. There's a reason all the fighters respect him.
Part of what the fighters look for, too, though, is environment. And I'm not saying that the environment at TriStar is not good, but I'm saying Montreal. Like, when you think about, like, do I go to ATT in Florida? Or do I go to TriStar in Montreal?
Mm-hmm.
Do I go party in Miami?
Yeah.
Do I go freeze my balls off in Montreal? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what?
That
has to be part of it too, right?
It's got to be part of it, and plus, TriStar just has never had that like mega camp type thing, and I don't know who knows why that is. It might even be Firas. Firas might not even want that,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's weird to see people think that he's overrated and all this stuff, and clearly the guy's mind is great. But
have you? Well, I'm sure you've listened to his interviews in Rogan.
Yeah, I think he's great.
Dude, he sounds like a genius, man.
Yeah, sometimes that rubs people the wrong way. I like even Danaher. People are like, dude, Danaher just sucking his own dick, constantly asking questions and not giving the answers until they guess, and it's like, man, who cares? The guy has his knowledge, and like you can learn a lot from it. So fucking, at least he's not an asshole, He could be an asshole about it,
True.
Make you feel dumb for not knowing shit,
Very true.
I don't know. I think Firas is a great coach.
Yeah, and props to Zahabi here for coming in and getting back on the win column. And I guess that was the last fight of his contract, so we'll see what the UFC decides to do with him.
Yeah.
And hopefully sign him for a couple more fights. He says he wants to fight in 3 months again. We'll see who they throw his way.
Yeah, I mean he'll sign a contract. He's the type of guy that has a ton of potential that the UFC likes. If they can lock him down for like a long-term contract for not a ton of money, they're gonna do it.
Yeah, but the way he won too made a statement. Last fight of your contract. That's probably the way that you want the last fight of your contract to look.
First round knockout is probably the best situation if you're on your
best
last
case
fight.
scenario.
Best case scenario.
All right, so the next fight was Dobson versus Casey O'Neill. Another
Casey O'Neill making their debut.
Another debut, man.
And she had a lot of eyes on her coming into this fight. People been expecting her,
Dude,
she looked good.
Dobson looked strong too. The first round, her shots look very powerful, man. Very
Dobson is
powerful.
very physically strong.
And
Yeah.
after that first takedown and that first scramble, and Dobson was able to get back up rather quickly, I was like, okay, we got ourselves a fight here.
Yeah.
But then with the continued takedowns from Casey, heavy hips, man. Heavy hips from top mount.
Dobson
and,
was stuck.
She couldn't do anything, man.
This
Couldn't do
is
anything.
one of those fights where the stoppage came because they're stuck and they can't do anything. It's like when someone gets stuck in a crucifix and they're not even really getting hit that hard.
Like Kimbo Slice
but you're
and
stuck.
Roy Nelson.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? It was just little taps on the forehead, and he just looks at the ref like, dude, when are you going to stop this? Kimbo not even trying to get out. He's just laying there.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't defend yourself, you can't defend yourself, you know? Doesn't matter if you're close to being knocked out. That's never been what a TKO is, you know?
Yeah, Shana didn't look like she took an overwhelming amount of damage, but it's just, like you said, constant. She wasn't able to defend herself very much.
Yeah, she got stuck almost like an S mount. You know, her arms are like crossed, and she just can't do anything. Knees in the armpits. She just couldn't move, and she was just bam, 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 bam. You know, it was. I don't think Mark Coleman would be stoked about the ground and pound, you know, but it got the job done.
I will say this though, O'Neal was very active on top. Very active on top.
Yeah, she did what she had to do, you know.
Yep. So I'll give her props on that. Probably not the most powerful elbows and punches, but
yeah.
But the entire time she was on top, she was very dominant.
Yeah, people were talking shit about her ground and pound and stuff, and it's like, dude, she got the W. She won with ground and pound. So what are you doing?
All those people talking shit about a ground and pound. I wonder how they would do if she was mounted on them. Yeah, and she was ground and pounding them.
Dude, why didn't you just get out of it? Why don't you just get up?
Yeah. Oh, it's so frustrating. So frustrating. All right, man. This next fight, dude. Fucking chaos.
My boy.
Rosa versus Landwehr.
Dude, I've always been such a huge Erosa fan, and I think my bias showed.
Julian J. Erosa.
I loved him on Tough. I was bummed when he got cut. Glad he came back. When he beat Woodson, that was my comeback of the year last year.
Performance of the night bonus on that one too.
Yeah, and I mean that was a phenomenal win, right? And they kept talking about how how's he gonna follow up on that? He's got a lot of eyes on him, all this hype on him now because he beat Woodson, all this stuff. Maybe I don't know if there was a ton of hype on him, to be honest, in this fight. But yeah, man, he fucking took this one. Talk about ride the momentum. You know what I mean?
For sure, man. Beautiful flying knee. The way that he comes in with the right, but ends up finishing with the left. And he even says, he's like, I'm able to generate more power that way too.
Mm-hmm.
But that looked fantastic. And how about what's his name, Landwehr? Coming out looking like Theo Vaughn though. With that serious mullet, and I was like, "Oh dang, man, it must be related." But
Landwehr looks like a mutant from the Dark Knight Returns comic.
Ah, dude, why you gotta call him a mutant, man? I call him Theo Vaughn.
Dude. Well, I'm not saying he looks like if you know the comic, you know what I mean.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't.
Sounds worse than it is. But like right. Wolverine's technically a mutant. You know what I mean? So like.
Yeah, and Hugh Jackman looks fine.
Yeah, he's Jack, man.
So with dad jokes left and right, the thing I liked from Erosa's interview at the end, he just threw out that classic Diaz line: "It's kill or be killed out there, man. Kill or be killed."
Dude, and also he got dropped in like the
during
first
that second exchange.
Yeah, in the clinch, dropped him, and it was like Chris Levin, dude. He turned him on real quick, and he was like, "Oh no." I gotta go for this now, and also like Chris Levin, that single collar, just uppercut. It's like fuck, dude.
It was a
Landwehr
fun fight,
was just
man.
eating all of it too.
Rich the Casual, did you catch any fights from last night?
I didn't, man. I had an engagement I had to get to, but I'm gonna catch him. I'm gonna catch him on the restream.
On the rebound.
Again. Yeah.
Dude, for some reason I thought he meant he was at an engagement, like he watched somebody propose to somebody.
Is that what you meant, Richie Casual?
No, just my roommate's birthday. We were just doing a little thing.
Ah, dude, come on. You skipped the fights for that? Oh, well, hey, if you do go back to watch any of the fights, That'd be
That's
a
a good
fun
one.
one, Richard Casual. Yeah, Erosa versus Landwehr.
Won't even
Alright, so
take a minute of your time.
literally only a minute. So
Yeah.
the next fight, Castaneda versus Wineland.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah, I felt the same way. Wineland. So hey, by the way, on the last video we posted, somebody came through. I don't remember the name on there. If you want to look them up, but they're like, "Man, you guys sounded so disappointed that Usman lost. Y'all are a bunch of
Or
haters."
Usman won.
Or that Usman won. Sorry, that Usman won and that Burns
Yeah,
lost.
a
Y'all are
bunch of
just a bunch of haters. And I was like, "Nah, man, it's not hate. It's just that coming up as fans, there's
Yeah.
certain folks that you end up watching more than others. You know, you get a soft spot for some of these fighters. Maybe their background story doesn't mean that I wasn't extremely happy for Usman. I even said it on the podcast. This guy could potentially go down as one of the best welterweights ever in the history of the UFC. So props to
Yeah.
him, you know. But Wineland's another one of those where I'm not saying I'm not happy that Castaneda won, but it's Wineland, man.
It's Wineland,
You
dude.
know?
WEC, you know. I like the old
That's
school
what I'm
guys,
saying.
you know. He would have been a UFC champ if they had lower weight classes at the time, you know. He's one of those names that should be almost considered a UFC champion. But shout out to Christian Lopez, old school Gilroy Best Buy. But
My boy
he
Christian.
texted me after the fight. He's always been a Wineland fan, and we were talking about it a little bit. And I don't know if he should retire, or maybe get another step down in competition. I don't know what a step down in competition would be in the UFC from here. You know, it just seems like what I noticed is he's still very. It's just so dynamic now. You know, these people who started training at MMA. You know, they didn't start training something and adapt. They didn't start in boxing and then all of a sudden start training jiu-jitsu. They started MMA. People like Corey Sandhagen, you know, who can fight in both stances. They just understand this game so completely now and all the intricacies. And Wineland is still fighting the same way he's fought for the past 5 years. You know, longer than 5 years.
He was stalking Castaneda, his hands really low.
Yeah,
and he does that old school like boxer thing where he does this with his hands as he's walking up, and he has really quick hands.
He still
fast.
can beat people.
Yeah,
he can
he's
still
really
beat
quick.
people.
He's fast, but I think he relies on that speed just a little too much to try to get his hands back up in time.
Yeah.
And in this case where he's stalking Castaneda, and as Castaneda's taking a step back and he lunges forward with that lead right, and you can tell right away because the entire time Wineland was pressuring.
Yeah.
He gets caught with that lead right, pressure stops right away. First time he takes a step back in the fight.
And he's eating shots.
Yep. That flurry that came from Castaneda
Really
as soon as
good.
he smelled blood, really good, man. He connected,
really
I
good.
think, what was it, 4 or 5 in a row?
It had to be. Yeah, it was tough. It was, I mean, and that's the yeah, I mean, like I said, all the respect to Eddie Wineland. I don't know if he should retire. It just seems like his game is still, I mean, he's like I said, he's still fighting like how he's fought in his whole career, and he hasn't adapted to this new style of just there's so many more techniques. It's such a better understanding of even just I don't even know what you would call it in an octagon, but like ringsmanship and just understanding where you are, and there's just so many things going on now that you got to adapt, and I just don't see it from him, you know, and it sucks because I really like him.
Landwehr and Wineland, both of them stopped. Both of them not necessarily happy with the stoppage.
Yeah.
But like you see Landwehr, and he's like, "What the fuck, man?" And he's telling the ref, he's like, "I wasn't out." While he's telling the ref that, the ref has to keep his hands up because he keeps on leaning forward and then going back and like side to side. I'm like, all right, dude, he was out. And then same thing with Wineland, like
he just ate too many shots, man.
Yeah, he didn't protest it as much as Landwehr did, but still he was disappointed with the stoppage. But I think it was a really good stoppage at that point.
Yeah, and I was talking to Kevin too, and because I was watching with Kevin here, and man, the UFC, just reffing in general, has changed so much. Like, they're so much quicker to stop fights, for better or for worse, right? Both of those fights, if both of those fights happened, Wineland maybe not, but the Landwehr fight, if that happens 6 or 7 years ago, it would have kept going. I think. Like, dude,
It
I
could
watched.
still happen this day. Bring Mario Yamasaki back, and these fights will continue.
He is coming back, but he when we did that episode of the like building like an ultimate card, right?
Yeah.
Like after that, I went back and watched a bunch of those fights, and I watched the Dan Henderson versus Shogun fight. That fight is legendary because of Shogun's ability to survive the first 2 rounds and then come back and like almost finish him in the third and like clean sweep that third round, right? If that fight happened now, it wouldn't have left the first round. Hendo's first flurry that dropped him, they would have called it. So long term, probably better, right? They stop fights sooner. People can have longer careers. They're not drooling by the end of their lives and all this stuff. But at the same time, dude, we how many times are we missing out? As memey as it is with Mario Yamasaki when he says, I let people be a warrior in there. Like, yeah, obviously, like, I get it, but we are losing some of the stuff that makes the sport so great, right? Is people being able to deal with extreme adversity and potentially come back. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's a fine line. If you go back and watch some of those from like 2000, I mean, obviously if you go back all the way, stoppages are you almost have to die in there before they stop a fight. But if you go to like 2007-ish, 2006, and watch until like 2013, 2014, a lot more comebacks. A lot of fights that could have been stopped that didn't. I mean, look at Brock Lesnar versus Shane Carwin. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many fights where nowadays they would have called it easy.
Maybe like Pat Barry and Czech Congo. Like, that's one of the first ones that comes to mind where they probably would have stopped it early and Congo would have lost that fight.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I said, for better or for worse, or, you know, I don't know. It's not as black and white as it's a good thing or it's a bad thing. You know, it's a little bit gray, but.
All right.
It was interesting, you know.
So this next fight, man, we've both been high on Aspinall already.
Yeah,
go back quite a bit.
Yeah, we're skipping the Gordon Chavez fight just because it was a decent fight, you know. It was just not much came from it, so that's why we're skipping that. But
in case anybody tuned in specifically for that fight to hear our feedback on that fight, but yeah, Aspinall versus Arlovski. Aspinall's biggest test of his career so far?
His biggest test. And we've known, obviously everybody knows Arlovski, legend, all that stuff, right? But a lot of people think some people are going to discredit Aspinall for this one and say it's not that big of a deal because Arlovski's 150 years old and has been through wars and has been knocked out a million times, all this stuff, whatever. But the reality is we just recently had a decent prospect in the heavyweight division go through the Arlovski test and come up short. Someone that everybody thought was going to run through Arlovski because of everything I just said, but Arlovski still is dangerous, still understands everything about the sport. We talked about Eddie Wineland, right? And he's fighting the same way he's fought in pretty much his whole career. Arlovski's the opposite. Arlovski has made the changes. Yeah, he's learned through this whole time, and he's still viable in the heavyweight division, you know? Obviously, it's the easiest division to be viable in as you age, but at the same time, he's tricky, dude. He understands the cage. He understands movement. He understands. I mean, we talk about fights being called soon. This fight could have been called sooner, probably when he was up against the cage, but did just enough right when he needed to keep the fight going, separate, reset, all this stuff. So he's crafty, man, and he just beat Bozer. Bozer was looking like he's the real deal at heavyweight. Gets the Arlovski test? Not yet. Yep. Aspinall, we're going to give you the same test. He could have easily lost this fight, and I wouldn't have been surprised. Arlovski's good. But he did pass the test, and he is the real deal, and I'm very excited. We've been excited for him since he started, but he's the real deal, man.
He looked to be in fantastic shape for this one, too. Fantastic
best shape he's been in. Yeah.
I hadn't seen him look this slim, man. His hand speed was there. And I've said it before, since the very first time that he was in the UFC, I said he's a heavyweight that moves like a light heavyweight, and that's scary, man.
Dude, his footwork, scary. He's light on his feet. He's in and out. He's got great head movement. Yeah, he's floaty, dude. He's super floaty, you know.
Floaty, I like that.
And that's something that I said about Stipe when Stipe was rising up. He fought like a middleweight, but he's a heavyweight. That's something you look for in people. And Arlovski didn't even do that bad. He had his moments. He was cracking him when he cracked him, and
he hit him with a couple good shots in the beginning.
it's not like he got ran through.
No. Now in the first round when he clocked
Almost
Arlovski,
did get ran through. Yeah.
I was like, man, I thought that Aspinall punched himself out.
I thought maybe. Yeah.
Oh, shit. But again, he was in fantastic shape, man, because even after he broke away, he was still super light on his feet, in and out, and quick movement. So I thought to myself, okay, he's good. As soon as they broke away and I saw his footwork still on there, I was like, he's good. He'll still be able to avoid some of those big shots. Scary moments, though. Because, was it Bozer
Swinging and banging.
that keeps on doing the same thing where he's going straight back, the lean back, except it didn't work very well for Bozer.
Yeah.
And with Aspinall, that's where he got caught a couple times too. When he was just trying to go straight back, no movement east-west. It's all just straight back. And if he catches somebody
in that small cage too.
In the small cage, if he goes up against somebody that has like a really long reach, faster footwork getting inside, that could be a problem for Aspinall.
Yeah, and honestly, that second round, I thought Arlovski was winning that second round until the lazy leg kick. They would both step into the pocket, swing a couple shots. They were both landing. Arlovski looks like he was taking good shots. He threw that and great fight IQ, and people talk about all the time, oh, was your game plan to take him down and do this and that? And then you hear a lot of fighters say, no, the game plan is if the takedown's there, if you see the opening, you take it. But it's not, we're going out there looking for the takedown, and it seemed like that's exactly what this was. Because Arlovski threw that leg kick lazy, and he ate it, then he threw it again. And the second time he threw it lazy, Aspinall just went on it, just attacked it. And that's smart. I mean, to be able to think in the moment like that is, leg kick happens. I wonder if he was like, if that happens again, I'm taking that, I'm grabbing that leg, or if he just did it in the moment, but and sneaky.
Were you surprised by how simple that rear naked choke seemed?
No, not at all. Because you get a takedown like that, and you're kind of riding the side like that. That's what everybody does. Everybody posts the left hand, post on the left hand, or whatever side you're on, right? You post, walk up, push him away as you create space to get up, and nobody protects the neck there. Nobody does. And that's why you see the frustration from Arlovski after, because that's such a safe position. And I wonder if, fighters, they go through all these fights. That's a safe position. There's positions where you're safe, and you get a little, not maybe lazy or just too relaxed in certain positions because you've been there so many times that you're like, I'm safe here. And Aspinall saw the opening and went for it. And then I wonder if that's something that they've observed, not specifically for Arlovski, but just in fights. Like, hey, that position, you could grab somebody there. And he snuck it in quick, man, so quick.
Very quick.
And there was nothing Arlovski could do. And you saw the frustration, like, fuck, I can't believe he just got that right there.
Yeah, as soon as he sunk that in, you saw it was over. Yeah. Like, you weren't thinking, like, well, maybe he could fight the hands and nothing. You're like, it's done. It's a done deal.
He snatched it. Yeah.
Yeah, and the tap, even the tap was extremely frustrating.
Yeah.
For him, the single tap and then just yelled, fuck, right after it. Man, poor Arlovski.
Like, damn.
Poor Arlovski, man. So what's next for Aspinall? I'm taking a look at the top 15 here.
Well, what he said is there's other heavyweights on this fight, or on this card, in Daukaus versus Oleinik and Lewis versus Blaydes. He said he's probably not up there for Blaydes versus Lewis yet, but
Daukaus,
that next
maybe.
one, whoever wins that fight, I'd like to fight them.
That's a smart call out by him.
It's a smart call out because Oleinik was ranked 10. Daukaus wasn't in the top 15. I'm not sure where he ends up, but that's a good call out. It's a winnable fight for him. The problem for me, this is a double-edged sword. The problem for me is that they're both kind of exciting prospects. Yeah. But that's part of what makes the UFC great,
Yep.
The fact that these guys sharpen their swords against each other like this on their way up.
And that's actually what I put down on my notes for the next fight of Imavov versus Hawes. I put down the UFC absolutely loves putting prospects up against each other. So
Yeah.
the more you think about it, right, then the Daukaus versus Aspinall fight makes sense. And I think
Yeah.
those two fight each other, whichever one ends up winning might be able to break into the top 15 after that.
Yeah, well, I think Daukaus probably breaks into the top 15 already. I think, and maybe not the top 10, but definitely top 15. Aspinall, I think, should already be in the top 15. A win over Arlovski, who's not ranked anymore, but I mean, you look at the heavyweight division, and it's looking a lot different than it did a couple years ago.
Yep.
There's a lot of movement in that division in the rankings,
Yep.
and I like it.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. All right, so
It's a good thing.
on the next one here, Imavov versus Hawes. And like I said, two exciting prospects. Man, Hawes, super explosive that first round.
Yeah,
Super explosive that first round.
very athletic.
Yeah, that faded. That faded in the second round.
Yeah.
Rather quickly.
Yeah.
In the second round, you see right away. Well, in the first round, I love that he was mixing in those calf kicks quite a bit.
Really well.
Really well. In the second round, those calf kicks went away. A lot more flat-footed. And then third round for me was all Imavov.
Yeah, how did you score this fight?
I had Imavov winning, actually.
I had a draw.
Did you?
Yeah,
So
I had,
you agreed with God, one of the refs had it a draw, right?
one of the judges had a draw. The two others gave it 29-28 for Hawes. I just think, in what world does that third round weigh as much as the first two rounds?
And we talked about
he
this
was beating the
before.
shit out of him.
Like,
You know?
and I guess viewing it like when I view it just like as a fight,
Mm-hmm.
like as an overall fight, I guess that's where I have Imavov winning. You know what
Yeah.
I mean, because I feel like the person that ended up taking the most damage, was Hawes. But again, that's not how it's scored, right? So
Yeah, I just had 10-9 round for Hawes in the first, 10-9 round in the second, and then 10-8 round for Imavov in that third. It's crazy to me that second round for Hawes counts the same as the third round for Imavov. That's just
Yep.
nuts. The guy was out on his feet, really. And yeah, Imavov, man, to be able to put it on someone like that in the third round after you're getting grappled so heavily like that for the first two. I'm super high on Imavov, dude. His stock doesn't go down whatsoever in this fight for me. It's a big learning moment for him, I think, too. Just things he could have done a little bit differently and could have got the win, but
And I'm with you. I
Everybody's
was
talking
really
shit.
impressed by Imavov.
yeah, everybody's talking shit about his shitty fight IQ to go for the clinch when he had him hurt in the third. It's like, did you not realize that he wasn't landing anything at range that much, and he was landing everything in the clinch? He was landing nasty knees with that Muay Thai plum, and it's like all these people, why would he go for the clinch? It's like, dude, he was fucking him up because of the clinch. You want him to just ditch what he did to get him hurt in the first place?
That would explain too why he when he was clinched up against a cage, very rarely did you see him try to go for the underhooks to try to escape. Maybe he felt like he had an advantage there.
Well, you can see he was
Muay Thai clinch.
out muscling him when he got the Thai clinch and he started pulling on the head. It created the space that he needed to. You could argue he probably should have pummeled and turned him over, and then he could separate. But you don't know what he's feeling in there. It's easy to sit back and watch and be like, why didn't he do this? It's like, dude, he's got another man stopping him from doing a lot of things. So
yeah,
let's put that aside for a sec.
The other man is probably training to avoid letting him do
Yeah.
what you're saying he should probably do too.
Come on.
So.
Dude, why didn't he just win? Like, come on.
So with
outta
Imavov, like you said, in your eyes, stock doesn't go down.
Mhm.
Does the stock go down a little bit for Hawes, even with the victory? Were you overly impressed at all?
The stock maintains for Hawes until I see what adjustments he makes in the next fight. Because, I mean, he got the win. He did what he had to do. He won the first two rounds, So, so props to him for that. He had a good game plan, especially early. There are definitely some lessons he can take from this fight, though, and things to improve on. So we'll see if he does that or if he goes out like he had. Because he went into this fight the same he's gone into his last few fights. Not much difference. So this could be kind of an eye-opening moment, hopefully, for him. Not like he got exposed or anything like that, but just like, hey, there's some things I should work on And that's when we'll see if the stock goes up or down. Because if he goes out and does the same thing in his next fight, the stock will probably go down for me a little bit.
I mean, as he starts getting tougher competition too, and he faces other folks with that same type of explosiveness in the first round, and just dying down second and third rounds, man. There's not too many folks going from here on out that he'll be able to survive against.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you look at the top of that division, it's like, dude, that's not gonna fly against someone like Robert Whittaker.
Yep. Yep. All right. Anything else on that fight, sir?
Yeah. Not really, but I am very high on Imavov.
So Oleinik versus Daukaus, and
Yeah.
Daukaus being one of the ones that we're talking about right now. We're talking about Aspinall as possibly his next opponent, right? But man, I enjoy watching Oleinik. He's like that dinosaur that just refuses to leave, and he's like the epitome of a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And like you talk about somebody that hasn't really changed their style of fighting for many, many moons. And man, this is a perfect example of how somebody just suffered from that. He goes and tries to pull Daukaus into his guard, and that didn't work.
Nope.
And Daukaus just, dude, unloads on poor
those are
Oleinik.
some nasty shots. Some of those hammer fists and everything.
Dude, yeah, and it's just, if you are planning for Oleinik, right? Like, I'm not sitting up here saying I'm an absolute expert in the sport. Like, I wouldn't be able to go in somebody's corner right now and be like, dude, we got the perfect game plan.
Yeah.
But I see the same thing from Oleinik all the time. Just slow stalking.
Shell, high guard.
Yeah, exactly. Every once in a while tries to dip and come with an overhand right just to give you something else to think about. But, you are able to avoid 2 or 3 of those overhand rights, and you have them pretty much set where you want them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at this point, you kind of look at somebody's career and say, like, what are we doing this still for? Like, especially at heavyweight, man, you're getting clocked by heavy hands. He's not making a title run anytime soon.
Does he have like a million fights too?
He's got like 59 wins and like 16 losses or something crazy like that. Like, he's got a lot of fights.
59 and 15. I mean, that's not bad.
Shit, that was a guess.
That's not bad.
I mean, it's not bad at all. It's really not bad at all. The problem is we have this new heavyweight generation right now creeping their way in, and if he was number 10 going into this fight, he's not going to be in the top 15. I don't think after this, especially with Aspinall beating Arlovski and Daukaus, who was unranked, going to be moving in also. I don't think he survives that new change, but. Man, I love watching him fight because he's so crafty on the ground. But it's not like he's shooting power double legs. It's not like unless he's fighting another older fighter, it's tough to really be excited for that,
I mean, I think he was ranked 10th, right, going into this fight. So, like 10th. You're talking about, Daukaus should be breaking into the top 15 after the win against Oleinik. But I mean, at this point, what do you do with Oleinik?
What are you doing it for? If he has a good reason, then whatever, keep doing it. But I don't know. I used to really get excited every time he would fight, But at this point, it's like I just don't want to see this dude get knocked out.
Do you put him up against Tybura?
Maybe.
Do you put him up against JDS? A couple dinosaurs going after each other?
I don't want to see that either.
You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. He could still make some noise in the division. He might still be a gatekeeper, not for the championship, but for the top 15. Somebody breaking into the top 15. But I mean, if you're Oleinik, I guess that steady paycheck, if you're fighting, 2-3 times a year, is cool. But damn, man, poor guy.
Yeah, I mean, dude, if I'm Oleinik, man, I'm teaching seminars, dude. That guy is so sneaky on the ground.
Ezekiel choke seminar just across the world.
Ezekiel choke from the bottom mount? Like, what? Like, he's so sneaky. Yeah. The problem is now the cat's out of the bag. Everybody knows how sneaky he is. So now it's just, even if you haven't heard. I think they were
saying 12 of his career submission wins have come via Ezekiel choke. If I remember correctly. That's crazy.
Yeah. But now people know he's sneaky. You don't clinch with him. You don't go on the ground. Even if he's hurt, you just you break away. It's not like his footwork is super elite to get in close. And it sounds like I'm shitting on him, right? But I don't like that either. But I don't know, man. I just don't want to see it. You know?
No, I'm right there with you, man. So we want to move on to the next fight?
Yeah, we'll touch on the Minner versus Rosa fight real quick.
I mean, the only thing I got to say
Dominant
about that one
performance.
it was a dominant performance from Minner, but I had fun watching Rosa
James
transition
Krause.
from submission to submission.
Dude, and that's, Rosa, man, he's so comfortable on his back. And I loved all the submission attempts. Going armbar, triangle, omoplata, all this stuff. Looked fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, and Bisping said it too, you can chain all your submissions you want. The judges aren't going to see that in your favor. And if you don't end up getting that submission, you just lost the fight.
Yeah, I think he said you're going to try 1 or 2 submissions. That doesn't work. You have to try to stand up.
Yeah.
But dude,
very active off his back. Super
very
fun
active.
to watch. Way
Yeah,
more
so-
fun watching him on his back than Minner on top.
it was a lot of fun. And Minner got the job done, though, man. And I
Yeah.
think you said the James Krause, right? James Krause.
Great corner work.
We continue talking about this guy. This is going to end up being, the James Krause show here pretty soon.
I know.
Because we're like always talking about how fantastic this guy is. And I enjoy watching him fight. I'm
Mhm.
almost starting to enjoy watching his corner work more than his actual fights, dude, because of the
He's doing
way
a
that
good job.
he interacts with his fighters. And we talk about like Firas Zahabi, for example, and how he's not
Yeah.
able to get too many popular names going. Very quietly over here, the James Krause, you're starting to see more and more people coming out of his
Mhm.
gym, getting a lot more notoriety. So I mean, maybe a powerhouse soon? What do you think?
Honestly, dude, yeah. I think the only thing that might be holding him back is just the location. I'm not sure a lot of people. I think it's Kansas City, right? I don't think a lot of people are flocking to Kansas City to go to train, but it seems like the people who do absolutely love it. So time will tell, right? I think potentially it might become kind of a hotbed there because he seems also very active on like the regional scene too.
Mhm.
And yeah, people are coming out of everywhere right now, becoming notable. So
And Minner
Yeah,
said in his post-fight interview, he's like, I've said it before, I'll say it again, James Krause, Coach of the Year. And I was like, hold
Yeah.
on. He's talking about this like it's breaking news. We at
I know.
Story of the Fight were the first ones to start talking about James Krause, Coach of the Year. So slow it down, all right, Minner? Slow it
Hey,
down.
man. Maybe
Take
give
it
us some
easy.
credit.
All right, man. Let's move on here. Kunitskaya. Everybody pronounces it like that, where they kind of like Kunitskaya.
Kaya. Yeah.
Yeah, so I gotta make sure I do it too.
Yeah,
Versus
Yana.
Ketlen Vieira.
This is a win for MMA judging. It goes down in the history books for judges that got a fight right. That
Yeah.
seemed like it had the recipe for it to go the other way.
Yep. Because
I
of that
loved
third
it.
round. Because of that third round, I was like,
yeah.
what are the judges going to be looking at right now?
Mm-hmm.
And
you could argue this fight happens a few years back and it goes to Ketlen,
Yeah.
And it's kind of a weird transition, right? When we're starting to get a little bit more competent judges every once in a while like this, and it's weird because fighters have grown, started watching, started training, have become their fighter, are game planning their whole careers based off what they think wins in the judge's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're starting to kind of see a transition of them actually looking for an effective top game, which they have not in the past. It used to be you're on top, you're winning.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to really look at that, and you have to be effective on the ground. And it's weird because fighters are doing what they thought they needed to do for a win and playing by the rules that they thought there were. And now it's kind of shifting, Ultimately, it's a good thing, but I do feel for some of the fighters who are like, what the fuck? I was on top the whole round. I understand it because their whole career, they've seen that gets them a win,
Yeah, but man,
But it's better.
Kunitskaya looked impressive to me.
She looked
And
good,
even in
man.
the first rounds when she was being taken down, she was
Active
getting
off her
herself.
back.
Yeah, she was active off her back, and she was getting herself out of some tough positions, man.
Mm-hmm.
Whether Vieira was really close to getting full mount, and she, shrimps out and gets into like a half guard, you know, and switching it to full guard and so on and so forth. Like for every transition that Vieira had, it seemed like Kunitskaya had an answer for that. And she seemed like she was in trouble a couple times, man.
Yeah.
You know, but
after the first round, I was like, man, I think this fight's probably just going to go like this, with Vieira taking her down. Fun transitions on the ground, but ultimately her staying on top and grinding out a win here. Second round came out. Kunitskaya takes her down.
She's like, I could do that.
Yeah, and not just takes her down, but is actually effective on top. And then, man, when you love to see stuff like this. And we talked about Robbie Lawler maybe last episode or a couple episodes ago, where
anti-lay and pray.
Anti-lay and pray, man. Those last 40 seconds of just being someone on top of you, holding you, doing nothing. And instead of just accepting that and getting frustrated, you just muscle the fuck out and go to fucking war on them.
The last 17 seconds.
Went crazy, dude. Holy shit, man. She's like, you're not going to lay and pray to a decision right now. I'm going to take you out.
I loved it. I absolutely loved
awesome.
it. And going into the third round, I considering that in the first round, right, Vieira did a pretty good job of maintaining top position.
Yeah.
Like I said, Kunitskaya stayed busy, but still won her the first round. Second round, Kunitskaya comes out. Kunitskaya takes down Vieira and is dominant with her top game. And so I said, okay, it's 1 round 1. Here we go. And I figured maybe the first person to get a takedown, considering how the other one's been able to keep the other one on the ground, is probably going to walk away with a win. So shortly after, Vieira gets a takedown. I'm like, shit, here we go. All right,
here we go,
let's see what we can do. Dude, the 17 seconds left.
I know.
Those elbows that she dropped. And she hits her with one elbow. And then it's like, in a second, it's like hematoma. Yeah. Second elbow. Cut.
Split.
Third elbow. Splash. Like, I was like, oh my God, she's just going nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely love the finish. When we take a look at the overall performance, so 117 to 16 strikes.
Yeah.
For Kunitskaya.
And going into the judges, I was like, they're going to get this wrong, and they're going to give it to Vieira. And you look at stats like that, and I get it. Stats don't mean everything, but I thought for sure they were going to give it to Vieira, and I was going to be so mad because, dude, she put it all out there in that third, like you said, 1-1 going into that third round. Who actually was trying to finish the fight, you know?
Yep.
The number one judging criteria, the most important thing is damage, you know? So it's like...
And, dude, seriously, if she wouldn't have exploded like that those last 17 seconds, it could have very easily gone to Vieira, I think.
Yeah, she probably would have lost.
And they always say, you know, if you finish the round on top, you finish the round being active.
Last impression,
the very last impression, this happened to be the third round, the deciding round. And the fact that when Vieira stood up, for the judges that are just waiting for her to stand up and they just see her face covered in blood, they're like, boom.
And you see Kunitskaya get up and walk around, and she's fucking pumped, dude. She's ready for a third or a fourth round. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, dude, she looks like she was terrifying. And
that was a just bleed moment.
It made me really happy because there was a lot of shit talking going on when she came over and she fought Cyborg. And just to see how far she's come since that fight, where she looked like she wasn't even used to getting hit yet in that fight.
Yeah.
You know, that same kind of Brock Lesnar, Kamaru Usman, you get hit, the weird reaction to it. And now, dude, just going out there and like you just said, having a just bleed moment. It's crazy to see, you know. You go from the Cyborg fight to where she is right now. And obviously she wasn't fighting someone like Cyborg. But just seeing how comfortable she is. And I think she's either dating. I think she's married to Thiago Santos now.
Now engaged to Thiago Santos.
Engaged, yeah. So,
couple
man,
little dime pieces over there.
Yeah, you know they're just putting in work, dude. Like, you're engaged to Thiago Santos. What was that?
Take it easy, okay? This is a family show, man. Family
Come on, I mean training. Come on.
Oh, okay, sorry. Another joke. No, but I was thinking about that too, and because he was essentially lead in her corner, and you could hear him yelling the entire time, and I was just thinking to myself, God, like how badass must that be? You know, like you're watching your fiance just kick the shit out of somebody.
I know, dude.
Elbows at the end, like the adrenaline that he must have felt.
Yeah.
Those last 17 seconds as well. And dude, if they end up having kids, can you imagine? They're like born black belts, dude.
I know.
That's
dude,
crazy.
Well, it's just crazy because you're not going to spend enough time to get engaged to Thiago Santos unless you're also a savage. you know. So like like I said, to see where she came from in that Cyborg fight, where people thought she was pretty much the opposite of a savage, to where she is now, it just makes me so happy, dude. I think she's really cool. She was the one of our early videos that actually was like the first one to get over like a couple hundred views. It ended up getting like 700, something like that. Was that the USADA loopholes, and she was the one that pointed that out. She was like, "Wait a sec, we're in Russia right now. We've only been tested once."
That's
like,
right.
What's going on
She
here?
had mentioned when she was with Maheta over in Brazil
Mm-hmm.
that they weren't tested over there. They weren't tested in Russia. And I think she said they didn't get tested until they got back in the States, right? But yeah, you're right. Dude, that's a good call. I completely forgot about that.
She's cool, man. I'm a big fan.
What's next for her? Let's see here.
Yeah, and also, you love to see someone miss weight and lose. You know, you just love to see that.
True story. Let's see here. So Kunitskaya, Vieira was 6th, Kunitskaya 7th. Let's see what lays ahead here of Kunitskaya. If she moves up to the 6th position, you have Juliana Pena.
Yeah.
Who I believe she's fighting Holly Holm now. Dude, and again, I keep on saying this, dark horse of the division for me, Juliana Pena.
I already know who I want to see her fight.
Who, Aspen Ladd?
Irene.
Oh, okay. All right. Irene Aldana?
Yeah. That'd be a
good
fun
pronunciation,
fight,
by the way. Yeah. No, yeah, dude, that would be a fun fight. And I think that would very quickly determine, between Juliana Pena, Holly Holm, if Irene Aldana versus Kunitskaya go at it, that maybe those almost like a small tournament.
Yeah.
To see what happens there.
Because Aldana needs a win, right? So she has to fight someone a little bit below her in the rankings. But, and we'll talk about this coming up too, but I'm not a huge fan of someone losing a title shot and immediately going right into a number 1 contender fight. So it's perfect for me for Kunitskaya to take on Aldana. Winner of that goes into a number 1 contender fight. Not a title fight, but a number 1 contender fight. And it just makes so much sense to me with where they're at in the rankings.
True.
And it's a fun matchup. Stylistically, it's a fun matchup.
I would agree. All right. Anything else on that one?
Nah.
Nah. All right. So, Blaydes versus Lewis. So, Curtis Blaydes, Razor Blaydes, coming out to the Mortal Kombat music.
Mortal Kombat. Probably just watched the trailer.
Probably.
But
probably got paid
not as good as. You know what? Kevin was all hyped when he walked out to that, right?
You're like, let me show you this.
I was like, dude, that win.
Yeah,
that win. A month ago.
Did you show him?
I tried to pull it up on YouTube or something, but I can't find it anywhere.
Ah, man, that's why you got to subscribe to Bare Knuckle Boxing FC, the app, dude. You can rewatch.
True.
But yeah.
Codename Crippler.
Codename Crippler, yeah, please do.
I think.
So, Lewis, maybe another one-trick pony. I mean, he has shown skills. He says that he's the most dangerous blue belt in all of Texas, possibly the world, he said. So he has some jiu-jitsu skills. And that he's an all-American wrestler. He claims himself to be an all-American wrestler. But we know what Lewis is waiting for.
The whole time, you can see it.
Curtis Blaydes said, he'll be an easy fight. He has zero movement. He just kind of sits there and sits there and sits there and waits for the right shot. And he predicted this fight to the T.
He's got 25 minutes to find it.
Lewis sat there. And I was texting one of my buddies. I was like, dude, he was waiting for that uppercut the entire time. Because the entire time you see him just cock it a little bit, just cock it back a little bit. He was just waiting for the perfect moment.
One thing that you notice, though, very high level from Lewis, was he wasn't falling for any of the feints from Blaydes.
Nope.
Blaydes was feinting, dropping, and probably looking for what's his reaction to my shot. Every time he would change levels real quick, you don't see Lewis load up the knee or the uppercut. You'd see him go for it sometimes, right? Like you just said, but it wasn't like only in reaction to his level change, So great job not biting on that and staying calm,
The only thing he did is take a few steps back. That's it. But like you said, no overreaction or nothing. And you
Yeah,
could
didn't
see
show his
Blaydes
cards.
continue with the crazy movement and the up and down and forward and back, and
It
nothing
worked
happened.
it worked really well though in the first round, right? He was picking them apart. He was able to see Lewis's shots coming back. Was able to pull counter a couple times, landing some big shots. Almost
But I feel like
arguably
he
had him
landed
hurt.
some big shots because of the lack of reaction,
Yeah.
because he was waiting for that perfect moment.
Yeah.
Not to say that he didn't try to fire back. He tried to counter a few times. And there
Mhm.
was once where he did try to shoot in that the first round. Didn't
Yeah,
get the
yeah.
takedown, but as he was going in, he got clipped a little bit. But it was more
Mhm.
like a hook instead of that uppercut. And dude, oh man, just
Yeah.
the power that man possesses, dude, is insane.
Dude, that uppercut, it reminded me of when Mark Hunt fought Roy Nelson. That uppercut where you just kind of slump into the person and then
Yep.
it's up to them to just kind of move out of the way until you fall. And it was the same thing. He lands it and they're just like, "Poof," and you're like, are they out? I think they're out. And then just a little shove real quick. It's like, dude, and those follow-up shots. God damn, those
The
follow-up
follow-up
shots.
shots were gnarly, man. And
Yeah.
then, you could tell the corner for Blaydes is probably yelling something at Lewis. And
Yeah.
Lewis is like, that's Herb Dean's fault, man.
Yeah.
Shit,
Yeah.
Lewis, man. That's on
Dude.
Herb Dean.
Dude, I'll never understand the people who were like, those were unnecessary, dude. Fucked up of him to do that. And people are like, oh, we're just gonna normalize excessive brain trauma. Dude, half their paycheck is on the line. Half their paycheck. You're not taking any chances.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? You
so
go
I-
until you're told to stop.
I
You don't
posted
even
on
go.
something.
You're not even supposed to stop at the bell. You know the actual rule is you don't stop at the bell. You stop when the ref stops
Ref
you.
stops you.
Yeah, you do not fight to the bell. And people forget that, but whatever.
Well, man, right away the memes started coming out.
Yeah.
Did you see the one of Blaydes where his hand stuck like with a thumbs up position? They're like early stoppage. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, that's so wrong, man. Like, can't we wait a couple days?
I
But
know.
dude, Curtis Blaydes was out because one, he stiffened up, right? It was very obvious.
Mhm.
But I don't know if I'm a certified lip reader, Will.
Yeah.
And so as he comes to, he says, "What happened?"
Yeah.
And then they tell him you got knocked out, and he goes, "By who?"
Oh, I did not see that. God
Go back and
damn.
look at it again. Go back and look at it again. He sits
Holy
up.
shit,
He
man.
looks at the doctor, and the doctor's like rubbing the back of his head, and he says, "What happened?" And the doctor says something, and you see him say, "By who?"
Oh,
Dude, it's
fuck, man.
insane. It's insane.
That's
So-
fucking brutal,
and
dude. Jesus.
You think to like what Frankie Edgar said,
Yeah.
right? Where he's like, "I knew I had just been in a fight, but I didn't remember against who. I didn't
Remember
remember
what's
what
going
happened.
on.
Yeah, couldn't remember the month. It wasn't until later on that it started
Damn.
coming back to him in pieces. But man, when I saw that, I was like, God damn, man. So I wonder whether it was the first shot, whether it was the second shot, whether it was the third shot. I don't know. One of those caused a part of his life to be erased.
Yeah.
Hopefully not forever. But dude, it was
God
bad,
damn, man. By who?
Uh,
And you even hear Bisping. They cut out to the big camera, right? Go back, and then he's like, "Yeah, Curtis Blaydes is still out." And it's like, oh, fuck, it's a while now.
Yeah. Derrick Lewis is a scary, scary man.
Yeah.
Dangerous blue belt, and just an immense amount of power that this man possesses. So we take a look at anybody above Lewis right now. We have Rosenstruck, Blaydes we
Great
just
fight.
took out, and Ngannou.
Yeah. This is
And
the
Stipe,
problem
of course,
with
but
yeah, this is the problem with promised title shots and waiting around and stuff like that because he's not going to fight Francis Ngannou. He's not going to fight Stipe. He's not going to fight John Jones. Stipe and Francis are going at it. John already gets the winner. So those three are pretty much off the table now. It's
Yep.
either Rosenstruck or like he wants Alistair Overeem. I don't think that fight's going to happen. But the Rosenstruck fight's a great fight. Is Rosenstruck, he's not booked right now, is he?
I can't remember. I don't believe.
I'll
Oh
look
yeah,
right
he
now.
is. Rosenstruck versus I think it's Cyril Gane.
Oh, that's that main event, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, good luck.
Rosenstruck versus Cyril Gane. So
Good luck.
that's gonna be a fun fight too. But man,
Yeah.
overall fun card. A lot of finishes. When we think about like the UFC picking cards and putting cards together that they might want to put out nationally, like on ABC or something like that, this would have been the perfect card for that because it
Yeah, it
just
would've
finishes
been.
nonstop. You know, so when we talk
Would've
about a
been a
lot of
good one.
casual fans and we're trying to hook casual fans, like if Rich the Casual would have watched this on ABC, for example, he
Yeah.
wouldn't be going to friends' birthday parties. He'd be sitting down at every UFC event to watch these
Yeah.
fights. You know what I mean? So Rich the Casual, they're just shaking his head right now, probably. So.
I am.
He's
I
like,
didn't
come
go
on.
anywhere. It was my own house. He lives here too.
Well, okay, I guess that's well. You would have had the fights on at least in the background
In the
for the birthday party since Chuck E. Cheese is
Yeah.
closed. So, time for Will's wisdom.
Yes.
You down? All right.
Down.
And this kind of you kind of already answered my question on this one, but Derrick Lewis wants a quick turnaround against Alistair Overeem. So I'm thinking about this and I'm like, man, this is a question I'm gonna have to get from the wisdom that Will carries. What does this do, if anything, for Lewis? Like, why would Lewis say, "Give me Alistair Overeem"?
Because he actually wants to fight him. I don't think he cares about like the rankings and stuff like that. Like he talked about how he doesn't want to fight in main events. He doesn't like 5 rounds. He's like, but he actually has like actual beef with Overeem. He said he wants to fight like a so-called legend. How he said it. It's purely for him. You know, it's not for his career. I don't think whatsoever. And I don't. That fight's not going to happen. It doesn't make
And
any
this
sense.
is why I turned toward your wisdom, Will, because I did not know that. So thank you very much. The next one. Aiemann Azatar is back with a second chance thanks to Uncle Dana. Good or bad?
Yeah. Probably good, honestly. Just because the talent's there, I want to see him fight. I want to see him fight, you know. I don't know what the fuck ended up happening. I don't know what was in the bag. I don't know who that guy was.
Mafia got to Dana.
Either the Mafia got to him or Ali got to him. Dude.
The best man in the biz.
Maybe love him or hate him. The reality is he can hold up almost every fighter on the roster that people want to watch and say, we're not going to fight until you bring Azatar back in. I doubt that's what happened, but he's talked about how having the top fighters under his management allows him to get younger guys better spots, bigger paydays, all these things. So the only way that makes sense is because Dana's not going to be like, oh, you manage all these guys? This guy's probably good too. I'll give him a shot. I doubt that's how that conversation goes. That conversation goes a little bit differently when he can say, this long list of fighters, do you want to see them fight in big fights? Give my boy a shot. You know what I mean? And it's...
Hey, Dana, turn a blind eye to this one, huh?
Yeah, exactly. You want Khabib to come back? I can plant the seed. You know what I mean? I doubt that's what happened, but... you know, it's just... there's a lot of talk about MMA fighters unionizing and stuff and what that would do for the sport. I don't think it's ever going to happen because fighters are very self-interest, you know, and they should be. And it gets in the way of a union. But the reality is when Ali manages almost every fighter on the roster who has a name, that's almost like a union, you know? Yeah. And I wonder, I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but I would be surprised if it did, you know, as if Ali was involved with that.
I love how all the fighters under Ali are pretty close too. Like he just makes sure that it's a close-knit family, you know. But all right. So last question here for Will's wisdom. We continue seeing the misweight, and I've asked you this before. I'll ask you again, Will. After yesterday's debacle, or a couple days ago, when everybody was weighing in, what's the solution? Once and for all, please. If we were to call Dana White right now, how do we solve this problem, Will?
If you miss weight and you win, it's a no contest.
That's it?
I mean, you're already losing a significant chunk of your paycheck. Maybe it's you don't get your win bonus if you win. The problem is fighters need to be getting paid. They're still putting their health on the line and stuff like that. But if your win is a no contest and you don't get to progress in the rankings, you know, I mean, what else can you do? You know, I don't want to see people get cut. You know,
if they don't get their win bonus, then that'd be like cutting half their pay, right? And then it's a no contest, but if the other person wins, it still counts as a win on their record,
Yeah.
right? Okay, well,
Yeah. I don't know.
I'll text Dana
really
right
don't
now and
know.
see what he says. I don't know.
You know what we do need to bring back, though, is fucking yellow cards.
Ah,
I
we
want
talked
yellow
about that
cards
before.
back.
Talked about that before.
That Phil Hawes fight, Hawes versus Imavov. There'd be some yellow cards in that fight.
Yeah.
Just for pride, but whatever.
We're talking about weight cuts right now, Will.
I know. I just was thinking about fighter pay and all that stuff.
I was like, are we gonna bring out yellow cards like right away during the weigh-ins? You're like, did you miss weight? I'm
You get
giving
a
you a
yellow
yellow
card.
card right now, like right now.
Yeah.
No, so dude, that's
I
all
don't
I
know. I
got.
just remembered that.
Do you have anything else?
Not really. That next card, a week from now, is fantastic. Really
Yes.
good card.
Yes.
Really good card.
And
So
I know
that's what
that
I'm
we
excited
have UFC 259 coming up a couple weeks from now. So we got a lot of good stuff lined up here pretty soon. A lot of good content for us
Definitely.
to be able to talk about.
Definitely.
Reminder to everybody, we still have the shirt contest going on right now. So Story of the Fight on Instagram, at Story of the Fight on the Twitter, and then Story of the Fight on YouTube, of course. So
Yep.
check out the Instagram page, all the directions there on how it is that you can win one of the awesome Story of the Fight shirts, and we'll be announcing a winner at the end of February. So
Hell yeah.
hell yeah. All right, do you have anything else, Will?
No, I don't.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening to Story of the Fight this week.